What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Daniel Courtwright, my co-host Sean Kellerman, is out in Chapel Hill as the Jayhawks going to be taking on the Tar Heels of North Carolina. That's going to be tonight at 6:30, a big time game. We will get into everything going on the weekend because it's a huge weekend. We're going to start off the show talking KU Arizona, though. That's going to be going on Saturday. Both teams looking to get bowl eligible as Arizona. They're 5-3 right now. Kansas 5-4. They're looking for that sixth win. So this is going to be a big game with a lot on the line for both of these squads. I will break that all down in this opening segment. And we will be talking KU UNC. Actually got a Zoom with none other than Sean Kellerman as he was out in Chapel Hill at the Dean Dome. So really exciting, really exciting game, really exciting weekend. Obviously got a nice little sit down Zoom with Sean talking all things KU UNC. After that, going to be talking KU soccer. They're in the Big 12 championship right now, taking on BYU. This KU soccer squad and what Nate Lee has done with the soccer squad is nothing short of exceptional work, right? He took them to the Big 12 championship last year, won it in his first year, and now they're back again. After struggling kind of in the middle of Big 12 play, they're back in the Big 12 championship against a not very good BYU team. BYU, they only went 4-5-2 in conference play, but they've gone on an unprecedented run in this Big 12 tournament. Kansas actually beat BYU 3-1 in Provo not too long ago. So you're feeling good about these Jayhawks. They've already solidified their spot in the NCAA tournament. All depends on this game in terms of how many games they're going to host here at Rock Chalk Park. So really exciting stuff for KU soccer. Also going to run through some college football game picks as well. A big time slate going on. Going to run through some top 25 teams as well as everyone in the Big 12 for college football game picks. In the 5 o'clock hour, ding, 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 ding. It's Friday. It's a sports stock market. That's right. Going to tell you what are the ups and downs, what stock is up and what stock is down in the world of sports. Going to be talking about cloning your dog, talking on about walk-ons, alcohol sales, a bunch of stuff in sports stock market. After that, going to be doing NFL game picks, another big slate for the NFL. Thursday Night Football was a stinker last night. At least I thought it was 10-7. Broncos wound up winning. Didn't cover that 9.5. Like I said, neither team looked very good. Kind of one to forget, I would say. But Broncos wound up winning. I actually wanted the Raiders to win because that would have helped the Chiefs down the road. But oh well, Chiefs are going to figure it out. And then after that, our last segment, very special guest coming in studios, Tyshawn Taylor. He's going to be talking all things Kansas basketball, talking about his time at Kansas, a little bit of time in the NBA, and then we're going to talk KU UNC because he's been watching all these games as well. A great basketball mind, and Tyshawn Taylor, Kansas basketball legend. So really excited to have Tyshawn here in studio. You can check out all of the Time Out with Tyshawn Taylor podcast on KansasNation.com. Check it out on YouTube as well, hosted by Rock. So really excited to have Tyshawn coming on the show. Let's go ahead and get started with KU Arizona because this game is okay. And we said this before in the past about the Mizzou game is one of the most important games of Lance Leipold's career. Oh, the K-State game was the most important game of Lance Leipold's career. This one is just as important. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it because of the fact that Kansas has only been to a bowl game 3 times in 5 years, only one other time, and that was under Mark Mangino. 2005 Fort Worth Bowl, 2007-8, technically 2008 Orange Bowl, and then the 2008 Insight Bowl. That's the only other time it's happened, folks. So as much as you want to throw shade or hate on Leipold, this is a chance for him to make history, right? And this is a chance for Jalen Daniels as well to get bowl eligible and win his first bowl game because, as we know, the only bowl game that he played in was the Liberty Bowl back in 2022 against Arkansas, the legendary triple overtime game that Kansas wound up losing. Kansas won the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, but Jason Bean was at the helm. So this is a big-time game. Also, Arizona looking for that 6th win as well. I want to talk about Arizona. Right now, they're 5-3 on the year. 2 of those losses out of the 3 losses were against Houston and BYU. Houston, out of nowhere, they're good all of a sudden. BYU, also a very solid team. Both those games they lost by 3 points. So they're basically like a couple of plays away from being 7-1 and probably being ranked. So this is still a very, very solid Arizona team. You're going down to Tucson. They're trying to turn their season around because they think it's a disappointment for them. Obviously, this is Noah Fafita's last year in college. So they're looking for it, man. Noah Fafita right now, he has 2,042 yards on the season, 21 touchdowns. Last couple of games, or at least the last game that he played, he had 213 and 4 touchdowns against Colorado. They absolutely wiped the floor with Colorado. And not very good Colorado team, mind you, but still an excellent performance by Noah Fafita. And then if you look at what he did against Oklahoma State, now granted, it's Oklahoma State. I get it. He had 376 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game. So this guy is a very different quarterback than what we're used to seeing Kansas play against, right? Kansas is used to playing against these dual threat quarterbacks. And it's kind of interesting because the world, it has shifted so much to where the default quarterback, if you will, kind of has to be that dual threat guy, right? Like Nico Marchiol, guys like Bo Prabula, Avery Johnson, right? You're seeing Brendan Sorsby, right? A lot of different guys who are these dual threat guys. Noah Fafita, he reminds me of sort of a traditional quarterback, a guy who likes to sit in the pocket and just grip it and rip it and fling it down the field. He has a lot of really good wide receivers, a lot of good weapons on this Arizona squad as well. And, looking at Noah Fafita, I've never been out on him. Last year was very disappointing for Noah Fafita. I thought he was going to be in the Heisman race, had a relatively disappointing season last year. And then this year, he's completely redeemed himself. Eerily similar to Jalen Daniels in a sense, right? Because JD, he was healthy last year, he had all these weapons. Last year, Fafita, he had Ted McMillan, who was a first round pick, went to the Panthers and is doing really good stuff over there. And just, wasn't able to really get it done for Arizona last year. So it'll be interesting to see how Noah Fafita handles this team, and I'll kind of break it down in terms of what Kansas needs to do. But I'll talk a lot about Fafita and some of his receivers and the offensive skill position players that they have. Ismail Mahdi, he is their running back this year, the starting running back. He's really good on the ground. Doesn't have a lot of touchdowns, but he has a lot of yardage, right? 530 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. The kid's good, right? And Kansas's defensive front is really going to need to be able to stop him. The only thing is that the Arizona offensive line is so big. I mean, they're massive human beings, and they're a very, very good pass blocking team, right? Because Noah Fafita is a pocket guy, so they needed to have big guys to step up and try to protect him. But they're also good in the run blocking game as well. So this KU defensive tackle room and also the DNs are really going to need to apply pressure and try to get penetration as much as they possibly can, get Noah Fafita a little bit uncomfortable. Wide receiver wise, really solid wide receivers. Two of them are fantastic. Javon Watley, he has 33 catches, 404 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the year. And Chris Hudson has 29 catches, 355 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Those guys, they didn't really get the ball a lot last year because last year is very much a Patrick Mahomes in 2018, just screw it, Tyreek's down there somewhere. Where like that's what Noah Fafita was last year with Ted McMillan. He was like, screw it, McMillan's down there somewhere. Now he has to spread the ball out. So he does a good job of distributing the ball all along the field. So this offensive attack is more diverse than it was last year for Arizona, which I think has benefited them greatly because last year they didn't really utilize it. They have a new offensive coordinator, I think has really turned the table for this Arizona squad. Obviously, Fafita's putting up incredible numbers right now, but the two main threats I'm looking at are Watley and Hudson. Really, really good wide receivers on that front. So, yeah, I mean, the offensive attack is scary, yes, because they're really good and they have a veteran quarterback who's been there for quite a while, who's trying to look for a bowl game as well. The defensive side scares me way more, way more. Arizona right now, they're sitting 6th nationally in success rate against the pass. They're also tied for 10th nationally in interceptions forced per game with 1.4 interceptions forced per game. Power four opponents are completing only 53% of their passes against Arizona's defense this season, and they have two really solid corners on both sides. One of them has 3 interceptions on the year. One of them has 2 interceptions on the year, and then their safety room is even scarier. They have a guy named Dalton Johnson who actually leads them in tackles as of right now. Their safety room has the biggest potential of both of those guys being NFL players. Their corners as well. Their passing defense is tremendous. So that's going to be a very tough matchup for Jalen Daniels because we haven't seen JD be very good in the last couple of games. And again, I've talked about this, right? K-State, he was bad. With Oklahoma State, you didn't need Jalen Daniels, right? You didn't need him. You had the running game be finally established, and you had Daniel Hishaw have a really good game. You had LeSean Williams have a really good game, and you were able to hand it off to LeSean Williams 10 times. He was asked about that a lot. But I think it's important to note that they do have trust in their run game because Zembrowski didn't even realize LeSean Williams was out there for all 10 of those carries. He just knew that's what we needed to do. Burn a little bit of clock. You have the lead. Try to burn some clock off and then score in the end zone to get them off the field eventually, right? So I think that is very important to note. And LeSean Williams came up big. There was a 4th down where they ran an inside zone, and LeSean Williams wound up getting it. And then on the 10th play of that, he wound up getting into the end zone. So I have a couple of keys to this game, but I still wanted to talk about Arizona because, look, right now, I think at this point in the season and then looking forward, these games I'm looking at these as some of the most important games of the Leipold era, right? Because it's really going to determine how Lance Leipold, how Jalen Daniels are going to be viewed in the eyes of Kansas fans, right? If they don't make it to a bowl game, if they wind up only with 5 wins, Kansas is at 5 wins right now. If they lose out, it's going to be much more of a disappointment, I think, than last year. And Kansas doesn't have exactly an easy road ahead, right? They have Iowa State. It's going to be in Ames. Iowa State, it has been lacking a little bit, but Rocco Becht is still a fantastic quarterback. It's on the road. It's going to be a tough environment. Iowa State's looking to try to turn their season around, get a win, a palate cleanse, because they were of national prominence, right? They were ranked in the top 25 early in the season, and now I don't believe they're anywhere to be found in there. So that's going to be a tough game. And then you have Utah, who's ranked right now. Devin Dampier looks fantastic this year for Utah. You're finishing that game off Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving. Students are going to be probably out of town, right? So the fan base around Lawrence, around Kansas City, Topeka, Ottawa, Emporia, doesn't matter where you're at, they need to come and show out for that Black Friday game to try to create a hostile environment to give Kansas a home field advantage for that last game, especially if you're still looking for that 6th win. This game is the most important game at this point for the rest of the season, though, because this is your best chance to win against a down Arizona team who shouldn't be down. Like I said, they're maybe 2-3 plays away from being 7-1 and ranked in the top 25. But instead, they lost to Houston by 3 points. They lost to BYU by 3 points. Now they're 5-3. They're looking for that bowl game as well. So it's going to be a very, very tough game because Arizona looking farther into their schedule as of right now. They have Cincinnati, who we all know Cincinnati was way better than everybody anticipated. And then they have Arizona State, who is always going to be very tough, right? Arizona State, they've been down a little bit this year. They were, picked to win the Big 12 by a lot of national pundits, and they're not quite there as of right now. But Kenny Dillingham is still a fantastic coach. Now, they are on their backup quarterback, I understand. And also, it's a rivalry game. Arizona State, weird stuff happens in rivalry games. I always say that. So Arizona State could easily go out there and lay a smackdown on Arizona. So they understand that their road is not easy. This is probably their best chance of making a bowl game. So there's a lot on the line for both of these squads. And I have a couple of keys to the game that I wanted to get into. First, on the offensive side of the ball, you have to establish a run game because as much as we have faith in Jalen Daniels and Bryson Canty's coming on late, Cam Pickett, it has been a great utility guy for Kansas and great in kind of receptions, but he's been dealing with some stuff. Emmanuel Henderson has been dealing with double teams because he's really their main guy. So they've been doing a really good job of shutting him down in coverage and forcing Kansas to use their other weapons. That's why you're seeing a lot of Bryson Canty. That's why you're seeing a lot of Cam Pickett. Keaton Quebec is getting some play, and a lot of the tight end room is getting some play as well. So the main thing is you have to continue that established run game that you established in Oklahoma State. The beautiful thing about Oklahoma State game is that you probably built some confidence in Daniel Hishaw and Leshawn Williams, I think, right? Looking at where those two guys were compared to where they are now, right? We've been begging for Daniel Hishaw to bust one loose all season long. He hasn't done it yet, right? He hasn't had one of those 35, 40-yard runs, what we've been wanting to, but he's still getting those chunk plays, the 5, 6, 7, 10-yard rushes like that. And then Leshawn Williams is playing a huge part in this as well. So you have to establish the run game. Also on the offensive side of the ball, because we talked a lot about their secondary, their linebackers are not good in coverage. So this has to be a Bowden Gruen game. Bowden Gruen has to come up big in the short field and also on those seams before he gets to those that third layer defense with the safety room for Arizona. You might see Bowden Gruen, honestly, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see him get another double-digit catch game because their secondary is so good at shutting down everybody else, right? So whenever they're one-on-one matchup, linebacker with attached tight end, Bowden Gruen, you're going to see him get the ball a lot more. And I think the Kansas offense and the Kansas offensive coordinator, Jim Zabrowski, obviously knows this, right? So we're going to be utilizing Bowden Gruen. You might even see some latent cure out there, right? Also, I want to see some jet sweeps, that kind of stuff. And that is also included in the run game. But if you're going to beat them through the air, it's probably going to be with the tight ends on one-on-one, man-on-man matchups with those linebackers because the secondary, I just do not see a lot of big yardage plays coming out of the wide receivers. Now, granted, they have hot routes and different routage that you can use in the short field, which I think is going to be key for Kansas to be able to even complete some passes in this game against Arizona. But at the same time, expect Bowden Gruen to have a big game. Expect Daniel Hishaw and Leshawn Williams to get the rock a lot. On the defensive side of the ball, secondary's got to be way better, right? Our secondary going into this season, I don't think it was talked about enough about. I talked a lot about this with Devin Neal. I said we didn't realize how big of shoes Devin Neal left and how much our running backs had to fill those shoes. Same goes with Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson. Both of those guys, 2 All-American cornerbacks. Whenever you lose 2 All-American quarterbacks, I don't care who you bring in, the level of play is going to go down. We had a lot of faith in Austin Alexander. We had a lot of faith in Jalen Todd, Saeed Gibbs as well, who's going to be out, by the way, in this first half of the game because of a late targeting call on Banks Bowen in the Oklahoma State game. So Saeed Gibbs has been playing a lot on the outside instead of at that nickel spot, which has been a little bit interesting because you have Jalen Todd playing in that nickel or hawk linebacker position, if you will. You also have Mason Ellis in the secondary. So the secondary needs to be substantially better because they have 2 burners on the outside with Chris Hudson and Javen Watley. Both those guys are tremendous, but also Fafita likes to air it out to a lot of different guys. So be on the lookout for the secondary. If the defense, and this is probably stupid because this is the case for every single game, the defense just needs to get off the field. We saw it in the Oklahoma State game, right? Kansas beat Oklahoma State handily. Zane Flores had his best game of his entire career. He threw his not only first, but second career touchdown from a starting quarterback for Oklahoma State. He threw his first and second career touchdowns. He had 230 some odd yards against his Kansas offense. Kansas only got the ball twice in the first half. The defense has got to get off the field. Now, this goes both ways because the offense needs to have these long extended drives as well. And I think that they can do it with the run game. I think that's probably the way that you're going to be able to stay on the field if you're on the offense. But the defense needs to get off the field as quickly as possible. And the secondary needs to really hold their own. And I think one of the ways to do that, to kind of ease up the pain on the secondary, on the Kansas secondary against this really good passing attack by Arizona is you have to blitz. I want to see Bengali Kamara in the backfield a ton. I mean, we know Arizona, they love to blitz as well. Arizona, they're blitzing on 44.3% of passing plays, and I want to see Kansas around that number because Bengali Kamara, love the guy, defensive leader, a monster, excellent tackler. He's terrible in coverage. I mean, that's just the best way to put it. He is not good in coverage. So, yeah, you don't need a spy in this game. Fafita's not going to run the ball. So bring pressure. Defensive ends need to bring pressure. Defensive tackles need to get penetration. And I want to see Bengali Kamara and Trey Lathan and John Kamara, all of these linebackers, they have to absolutely get pressure on this Arizona squad. So those are my keys to the game. Get pressure from the linebackers and the front line. Secondary just has to hold their own and cannot give big chunk plays on the offensive side of the ball. Feed it to Bowden Gruen, and then feed the rock to Daniel Highshaw and LeSean Williams. Kansas could come out of this one victorious. It's going to be a hostile environment. Both teams, like I said, they're looking for that 6th win. Arizona knows it. Kansas knows it. Arizona knows they do not have an easy road ahead. Kansas knows they don't have an easy road ahead. Two very similar teams in that aspect. Arizona, they look really damn good. So it's going to be interesting. That game's going to be kicking off on Saturday. You can hear coverage of it on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Really exciting game because Kansas could potentially go to a bowl game. And we know the Pop-Tarts Bowl had a representative at the KU Oklahoma State game. Their bowl games looking at Kansas, wondering if we want these guys to, represent our bowl game. You got to get there. You got to get to a bowl game first. You got to get that 6th win to become bowl eligible. So we'll certainly see. I have faith in the Hawks, though. I have faith in JD. JD likes to play as an underdog. Lance Leipold likes to play as an underdog as well. They've done a great job. And you remember what happened last November? Sean loves to say it. It was in November to remember. They beat 3 ranked teams in a row while being unranked. First time that's ever happened in the FBS era. So, again, it'll be interesting to see. KU Arizona going on this weekend out in Tucson. Be tuned to kansasnation.com for all of your live tweeting coverage. Check us out on Twitter as well because I'll be live tweeting all of these games. Hey, after this, going to be joined by Sean Kellerman via Zoom, talking a little KU UNC going on tonight at 6:30. You're listening to Rock Chalk Sports on kansasnation.com. Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on kansasnation.com and ESPN Kansas City. My name is Daniel Courtwright, and my co-host Sean Kellerman, he is not sitting right beside me. In fact, he's in Chapel Hill right now. One of the first times any Jayhawk has ever been in Chapel Hill. The first time any Jayhawks have ever been in Chapel Hill. Kind of crazy to think. Sean, appreciate you finding some time out of your busy schedule to join me today. Obviously, a big one coming up. But first things first, what are the sights and sounds of the Dean Dome? We've heard so much about it. One of the most hostile environments in all of college basketball, obviously. So much history there as well. But tell me, just how has your trip been so far?
Well, first of all, the mustache is looking great. So well done for you. I imagine you've got a razor. Imagine you've got a razor that helps you take care of it. But no, it's great. We have shoot around going on right now, and seeing the guys get some shots up, and just happy to be here. I mean, this place is awesome. Like, as you could imagine, it's bigger than I thought. Seats upwards of 20,000, but has all the Final Four banners, national championship banners, and a lot of history here. And they've actually got on the big screens I guess just a shout out to both Roy Williams and Larry Brown. So I think they did that purposely, and we'll see if they keep that going. But yeah, they got Coach Williams with all his accolades on one, and Coach Brown with all his accolades on another. Of course, 2 guys who pretty much represent the programs being intertwined more than anybody, right? Those 2 and Coach Dean Smith. So yeah, 2 blue blood programs and 2 programs that really are kind of like cousin programs. And it's been fun. The whole experience here has been awesome too. I mean, everybody's been really kind. It's a little different than KU Mizzou and UNC Duke, I think. No hatred whatsoever. And like you said, first time ever KU basketball is here. It's going to be an awesome night.
My favorite Joe College shirt of all time was the one that said,
Yeah.
Kansas, the birthplace of North Carolina
Right.
basketball, which
Right.
I just thought was,
Exactly.
it's so funny. So speaking of that, obviously you're there for the game. You're working with Learfield, taking over for the silent assassin, Steve
Yes.
Kincaid. So shout out to Steve Kincaid. He doesn't get enough shout outs, I think.
He does not. We should have him on the show sometime.
Yeah, we need to. He's a good hang.
It'd just be 20 minutes of silence, but
right. So speaking of North Carolina, obviously they have a relatively big lineup in terms of, what starting five that they have out there, right? If they stick with the same starting five that they have over the last, at least the first game that they played and the exhibition games that they played, they're going to have three guys who are 6'10" or taller. And old friend alert, Henry Vasar is there, Caleb Wilson's there. I want to talk to you about Kansas's front court and how they're going to kind of manage North Carolina's size, because this is the biggest team that we've seen so far.
yeah, I think what bodes well for Kansas is the fact that Bryson Tiller has played so well, right? I think that while you're not going to see Flory Badunga and Paul Mbia out there at the same time very often, you could definitely, as we've seen in previous games so far, see both Tiller and Badunga, or even Tiller and Mbia at some point, because Bryson Tiller, a guy who's kind of referred to himself as a 4-3, and that's probably what we would say for Jalen Wilson, a guy like that, even Marcus Morris, guys who are probably more natural fours, but can play a little bit on the perimeter. And Tiller, I think, could be key in this one because of that size, like you mentioned. Henry Vasar in 2 games against KU last year when he played for Arizona, not good in Allen Fieldhouse, and then extremely good in the Big 12 tournament. Big problem for Hunter Dickinson. Dickinson couldn't keep up with Vasar's shiftiness, couldn't keep up with his athleticism down low. That's not going to be a problem today with Flory Badunga. I think as long as Flory is on the court, staying out of foul trouble, then he'll be able to, at least neutralize Vasar. But Caleb Wilson's been the guy, right? In a unbelievably stacked freshman class, Wilson is right up there. And UNC won their first game in a blowout as well. Vegas thinks it's kind of going to be a coin flip type game, and it's going to be a really good test for KU. But it is one of those games that if KU wins, it could springboard you. We're early enough in the season to where we can probably take a positive look at it no matter what happens. But if you get the win, you get the experience, you get the resume builder, because UNC, they snuck into the top 25, but we know that they're going to be there when it matters. And Caleb Wilson, maybe he's hearing a little bit of the disrespect from some of the other freshmen, getting more love from a national perspective than him, because he's shown out early.
Yeah, 100%. I want to talk about DP as well, because I think, is it early enough to say that we know what we're going to get out of Darren Peterson? I mean, obviously, he's been dealing with cramps, but we've seen it on the court, and freshmen in college don't move like that, right? And so we know exactly what we're going to be getting out of DP. The only question is, how long, right? So we talked to Coach Self earlier, in the week, and he said, well, he's not going to get extended minutes like 37, 38 kind of thing, but he'll be playing a little bit. It all just kind of depends on the cramps. But talk about the matchup there with DP and Seth Trimble and those guys at the guard position for North Carolina.
KU really struggled last year with the quickness of Seth Trimble. Remember, the Hawks had a big lead in that one early. I think they were up a dozen at the break and ended up only winning by 3. Of course, RJ Davis, a quick guard as well. But Davis and Trimble, I mean, they were just getting past the KU guards. Again, this KU team is so different. We're probably going to continue to reference last year just because that's the most recent group of Kansas basketball players that we've seen, but it's just so different. Peterson, in regards to Trimble, if they are matched up together, DP is definitely going to have the size. There's no doubt about that. And I think in general, regarding Peterson, I just go back to what Coach Self said not that long ago, which is everything is in slow motion with him. Like, most freshmen are sped up. You see some mistakes. We have some freshmen who've made some mistakes already, and everybody does across the country. And DP's made some mistakes, and he'll continue to, and he'll have off nights, and people will freak out about that and everything. But he's just so in control. Like, I've never seen anything like it. You look at the previous number 1 overall recruits that KU's brought in with Josh Jackson and Andrew Wiggins. It's just so different with Peterson to me, because Peterson is on the ball, and when you are the one in control, it's different than just being kind of an auxiliary wing guy. Wiggins was awesome at KU. Josh Jackson was awesome at KU. They didn't perform like freshmen either. But Peterson being on the ball, everything is in slow motion. I'm really excited to see how he reacts tonight, because Louisville was a good win and it was a good atmosphere, I would say. But KU got off to such a good start, punched them in the mouth, that the fans at the Yum Center didn't really get into it. This is going to be, hey, regular season game. It's KU, it's UNC. This is going to be back and forth throughout. And how can Peterson continue to slow the game down to stay in control? Because I think there's going to be a lot of games where he's the most important player for either team, and tonight it's going to be no exception.
Yeah, for sure. Sean Kellerman, Rock Chalk Sports, joins the show right here live in studio. Or no, not live in studio, live from Chapel Hill. Excuse me. My goodness, what am I even talking about? Sean, I wanted to talk to you about because we were talking about Darren Peterson being a freshman. Corzario, and you always make fun of me saying that I'm a Corzario hater. I'm not. I'm just calling it like I see it. And he hasn't performed to the expectations that were set for him in all of the offseason hype. Is this a game where you think he can really rise above the top? Because this isn't Fort Hays State. This isn't, Green Bay. And for those games, the game seemed a little fast for him, right? This game is going to be a lot faster, and he's probably going to have a harder time on defense, especially if they roll out those, essentially three big combination. He's playing the three. He's going to have to guard a guy who's 6'10". What are your expectations of Corzario in this game?
Well, I think the one thing you're going to get from Rosario is hustle, and he's going to attack the glass. So, right. Yeah, he hasn't hit shots, and that's something that he and Jaden Dawson need to do. And I think while Jaden Dawson did have 3 rebounds in the game on Monday, he needs to have a little bit more of that in his game to match Rosario, because Rosario is going to be a really good player. We don't know how many years he's going to be at KU because he's already an NBA prospect. He's going to hit shots. I'm not worried about that as much. It's everything else that he does. So just like Christian Brown, and yeah, we're going to continue to reference him, he is the type of guy who's going to contribute when he's not making shots. Jaden Dawson needs to do that as well. But as Coach Self has said, it's always important to learn how he can play without hitting shots. But now let's start hitting shots. And hopefully Rosario is able to do that. He did look a little bit sped up. Again, kind of going back to the exhibition game at Louisville, KU didn't used to get the opportunities to go on the road for an exhibition. Yeah, Rosario wasn't hitting everything at Allen Fieldhouse, but now these guys have all experienced a road game. And even though it wasn't the best atmosphere of all time, I think that was a good experience for him and all the other freshmen. Again, for DP, it didn't seem to phase him at all. He played in a lot of good games, and he's just a little bit different. But yeah, I'm very interested to see regarding the KU rotation, as Coach Self has talked about, El Marco kind of being the 6th starter, the first guard off the bench. If the starting 5 remains as is, then there's El Marco. Well, the guy after that we've seen is Jamari McDowell. And between McDowell, Rosario, and Jaden Dawson, there's only so many minutes to go around. McDowell's a program guy. Dawson's supposed to be a knockdown shooter. Rosario's a guy who can contribute in a lot of ways. Who kind of wins the minutes battle there, right? Because you've got El Marco coming off the bench, and then you've got Bryson Tiller coming off the bench, which right now those seem like shoe-ins, right? Well, then your rotation is already at 7, and it's probably not going to go higher than 9. So you're going to see a little bit of Paul Mbia, but he might be a 9th or 10th guy. So that kind of internal competition of those wings, who's going to hit the most shots, who's going to be the best defender, that's something to look out for. But now this is a game where who knows what you're going to get from some of those other guys. If KU is going to beat UNC on the road, it's going to be a lot of Peterson and a lot of Bidunga, which we saw on Monday and was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, 100%. Sean, I'm sure you have some keys to the game. By the way, crazy stat, not associated with anything, but Kansas is 16-1 against ACC schools since 2012. Yeah. So that's actually
isn't it? Something like that.
No, they lost to Duke in 2019, 2020 in the Champions Classic. But before that, they just went on a ridiculous run. What are some keys to the game for this Kansas squad in order to come out victorious?
Well, since we're on the road, it's going to be even more important to hit shots, right? I think KU's got to hit 7 or 8 threes, which means some of those guys that I just talked about need to contribute. You're going to have Peterson, you're going to have Bidunga. They need to be that guy, essentially, but you got to hit 7 or 8 threes. There's going to be a lot of points in this game. I honestly think that. So if Carolina hits 11 or 12, KU, I think, will still be in the game if they hit 7 or 8 because Peterson's ability to attack the rim and what Flory has shown. And then the other thing for me would be Flory's got to stay out of foul trouble. I mean, he's got to be on the court. Yeah. So especially with all the size that you talked about for UNC and Vasar and Wilson in particular, you got to get 30+ minutes from Flory, because we're high on Tiller, we're high on Mbia, but Flory is the guy who, is sooner rather than later going to be going to the NBA. And he's the guy that has that NBA talent, is going to be NBA ready shortly. And he's got the athleticism to defend a Wilson or a Vasar. And obviously he has a little bit more experience than Tiller and Bia. So he's got to be on the court. That's vital. And certainly the last thing would be rebounds. If KU can match UNC on the glass, that would be big. And yeah, we'll see which of the wings kind of answers the call on the glass, because that's going to be important too.
Yeah, 100%. Sean, one more thing before I let you go. You're in the Dean Dome for the first time. Do you feel that kind of like magic that you feel anytime you walk into Allen Fieldhouse? Because we've been doing it for a long time, walking into Allen Fieldhouse, but it doesn't get old, right? Just walking into that old barn and you feel it. Do you feel that in Chapel Hill at all, or is it just another big building?
Well, nothing compares to Allen Fieldhouse. I'll tell you that much. This has a little bit more of a, sounds weird to say, concourse feel, a little bit more of a, the field house, like we talked about, it's an old barn, right? So you walk in there and it's a little bit different than most every other arena. But I will say, this to me is way cooler than what I saw at the Yum Center, which is still considered a top 10 venue. But when I walked in and you see all the Final Four banners, the national championships, and the video boards and the names of all the legends, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I would say there's a reason that it's a top 5 facility, and I'll be excited to see how the students, how the fans match up. But everybody we've talked to, by the way, here in Chapel Hill that went to the KU game last year, nothing but great things to say about KU fans, in awe of Allen Fieldhouse, all that. So it kind of is like a weird brotherhood, or like I said earlier, cousin program type thing, where there's a lot of respect, and a lot of respect with the fan bases too. But yeah, a little bit later on the pregame show, the Crimson and Blue show for the Jayhawk Radio Network, I'm going to get a chance to talk to Jones Angel, the play-by-play guy for UNC, who we ran into last night at their version of Hawk Talk when he was running that. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. But yeah, nothing but respect for this program and how intertwined KU and UNC are. And yeah, kind of getting back to it. Yeah, pretty awesome arena, and a lot of Carolina baby blue everywhere. So it should be fun seeing the Carolina white uniforms and KU and the all blue road unis. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, Sean, I hope you have fun on your trip, man. Take care of that beard. It's looking a little scraggly. You need to do something about that.
I know. I don't have any answers for it. I gotta problem solve a little bit. But hey, you take good care of Elijah Schmidt over there, and we'll be chatting soon, and hopefully the Hawks can get a couple wins this weekend. Big one tonight, big one tomorrow in the desert. But yeah, man, we'll chat soon.
Absolutely. And by the way, if anybody sees Sean's Conan O'Brien coif on the television, please send it my way. The hair's like good. Sean, I appreciate it, man. All right, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, bro. We'll see you later.
All righty. That was Sean Kellerman joining the show live from Chapel Hill. Hey, more Rock Chalk Sports after this on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City.
Welcome back into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Hey, be sure to check out all of our stuff on KansasNation.com. Sean has great articles up there, a lot of really great videos as well. Check us out on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. We really appreciate it. All of our stuff goes up on the YouTube as well, but be sure to go to KansasNation.com for all of your updates, all things Kansas athletics. A lot of great shows too. I mean, you're talking, Haney and the Hawks. We're talking Legends of Kansas with BMAC and Chris Harris, Tyshawn Taylor, the Timeout podcast with Tyshawn Taylor. Actually, Tyshawn was supposed to be coming in today. He's dealing with a personal issue, so we're going to try to get him on next week to talk a little KU basketball. But Tyshawn's been filming his show here. Great guy, knows a lot about ball. So going to try to work it out with his schedule and get him on the show sometime next week. Really looking forward to that. Hey, KU soccer. They're playing in the Big 12 championship again for 2 years in a row. The second year under head coach Nate Lee. That's probably the biggest story of the entire weekend, I would say. Even though KU basketball taking on North Carolina, KU football looking for a bowl win, KU soccer, man, what a run that they have been on. They just beat Colorado on Wednesday. Colorado they beat Kansas 2-1 on senior night. Hope Leba, by the way, I believe she's the nation's leading scorer as of right now. Kansas held her scoreless on Wednesday in the Big 12 tournament down in Fort Worth. Her sister Faith Leba, strangely enough, wound up scoring a goal. But Kansas, they won that one late, 2-1. They were down 1-0 early. All of a sudden, in the second half, Kansas ties it up, and the Sage Wimes comes up huge for Kansas late in the game to win it 2-1. Everything's kind of fallen perfectly for this Kansas squad, right? I mean, Baylor, they were a very good team. They lost to Texas Tech in one of the first rounds of the Big 12 tournament. Then Texas Tech lost right away to BYU. BYU, they're the 8th seed, I believe, in the Big 12 tournament right now. KU, they beat BYU in Provo 3-1, I believe is what that score was. Let me double check that. Yeah, it was 3-1 in Provo. BYU, they have some really solid players on that squad, though. I mean, looking at it, this BYU squad, they have Ellie Walbrook. She's the leading scorer for BYU, one of the best forwards in all of college soccer as of right now. Other than that, they're not a very they're an okay program, and they've gone on just an unprecedented run, like I said. So be sure to lock in for that this weekend. That's going on tomorrow out in Waco. Check that out on ESPN Plus. Really exciting stuff, and a chance for Nate Lee and company to go back to back on Big 12 championships and potentially host, I believe, 3 games in a row. So if they're able to do that, we know the might be hosting one. So if they do, get on out to Rock Chalk Park and support your Jayhawks, because this is a very fun team to watch. They are very offensively minded. They control the time of possession. They score a ton of goals. Lexi Watch, Sage Wimes, Carolyn Castens is an incredible defender. The list goes on from all of these girls who have just done a fantastic job throughout this year, because they could have easily gone into a tailspin when they lost a few in a row in the middle of the season, and they absolutely haven't. Now they have a chance to go back-to-back Big 12 championships. Really excited for our Jayhawk soccer program. Time for some college football game picks. Big slate going on this weekend. One of them is in the Big 12. Probably the biggest game, I would say, is in the Big 12, BYU and Texas Tech. I'll get to that in a second when I do Big 12 game picks, but I'll go through some of the games that I like in Power 4 top 25. Indiana, they're going to Penn State. They're a 14.5 point favorite. The public likes Penn State here. I do not. Fernando Mendoza is probably the best quarterback in this draft right now. I think he's going to be, a top 5 draft pick. Just the way that he's been playing, he's absolutely fantastic. Kurt Cignetti has done a fantastic job with Indiana. Talk about a turnaround, right? Kurt Cignetti coming over from JMU, bringing over a ton of his guys as well, bringing in Fernando Mendoza from UCLA, it was Cal, I believe is what it was. And he has just been on an upward trajectory. I think Indiana goes in there and puts, I think they beat them by 25. I don't like this line at all. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? It's Penn State, but also they have fired James Franklin. They don't have their starting quarterback. I love Indiana on this line, minus 14.5. Moving down, Texas A&M taking on Mizzou. Texas A&M, they're ranked number 3 in the nation right now. Mizzou is ranked number 22. It's in Columbia. Texas A&M is a 6.5 point favorite. Now, I know it was against LSU, but that's probably the most Texas A&M football that I watched. Texas A&M is fantastic. I mean, they just look phenomenal, right? Mizzou, I understand that they are a very solid program. They have a good defensive front. They have a really good tight end, a really, really good running back. I like the under in this game. 48.5 is the under. I think that they're going to try to feed Ahmad Hardy a ton, but also I think this Texas A&M defensive front is good enough to really stop him. So I love Texas A&M on this, not just because I'm a Mizzou hater, which I am. I think Texas Tech is going to run away with this. This to me feels like a 10, 12, 14 point victory for Texas A&M, the number 3 team in the nation. Texas A&M, watch out. They're my dark horse is ridiculous for me to say about the number 3 team in the nation, but Texas A&M hasn't done, they haven't won a national championship in forever. I think Texas A&M might win the national championship this year. I feel it It's just in my bones somewhere. And it hurts me to say that. It hurts me to say that about an SEC team, but I think that they're going to win. I think they're a very, very solid program. Oregon, Iowa going on. That's number 9, Oregon at number 20, Iowa. Oregon is a 6.5 point favorite. I don't want to touch this spread, but I'm going to. Give me Iowa. The public doesn't like it. It's a minus 105 right now. I think Iowa's going to keep it close, keep it within 3. Iowa does not win this game, and I think the under is going to hit. I think Iowa's defense is really good. It's been historically very, very good. Dante Moore is a fantastic quarterback, but I think Iowa's defense is really going to hold up strong in this game. It's going to be a fun environment. I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored. The over-under is 41.5. I love the under on that. This feels like a 38 game to me. And then I have a couple more. LSU at Alabama. I mean, LSU, what a dumpster fire, right? They fired Brian Kelly. Garrett Nussmeier is still a good quarterback. I like LSU in this game. It's so weird. I don't know why. I think that they're going to get the fired head coach rivalry game bump, if you will, because LSU Alabama has turned into one of the more fun rivalries just over the past, 15, 20 years. I think LSU is going to go in there and maybe shock some people. I don't think that it's going to be close. I like LSU on the line, on the spread. I don't want to take the money line, but for some reason, something about it. Look, Ty Simpson is a fantastic quarterback, and Alabama is Alabama, right? But Kalen DeBoer has shown weak spots in his coaching ability sometimes. So I don't know. Does LSU get a little bump from, let's rally the troops and turn this program around after they fired Brian Kelly? And I don't know. I like LSU on this money line here. And then Navy taking on Notre Dame. Give me the Navy. Plus 27.5 is what they're laying right now. Navy's good, man. I like Navy. I like them. They're fun. They're so much fun to watch. Give me Navy in this one. Give me under 55.5 though. That is way too big of a line for this game. I do not have, confidence that it's going to go that far. Now looking into Big 12 games, Houston taking on UCF. Houston is at UCF, and they're only a 1.5 point favorite. Connor Wegman has looked fantastic, and Willie Fritz has done a fantastic job. This might be the lock of the century. Houston minus 1.5. No, okay. I got to remember this. Houston's not going to win by 1. I don't care. I don't care about taking the point. I don't care. Houston's going to win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns, not 1.5. The line shouldn't be 1.5. Is this a trap line? I don't know. Do the bettors know something that I don't? Probably. I don't care. I'm sure they do. I like Houston in this game. UCF is terrible. It's at the bounce house. Who cares? Houston, I think they're good. I like Connor Wegman, man. I like Connor Wegman. And I like Willie Fritz. I think they're going to go in there and whip up on him. The biggest game of the Big 12 slate, number 7, BYU, taking on number 8, Texas Tech. It's in Lubbock. Texas Tech, they're 1 spot below BYU in the rankings. They're an 11.5 point favorite right now. Give me the Cougs, man. BYU is going to be all over that. Bear Bachmeier, good quarterback. I like BYU a lot. I think that they're going to make a run for the college football playoff as well. I think they're gonna probably get in there handily. I love BYU on this line. Give me the under in this game. It's at 51.5. I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored. I think defense is really going to hold up strong. It's going to be kind of a defensive chess match kind of game. I truly believe that. Texas Tech has been just a monster all year. I think BYU has enough firepower to be able to stop them. So I like BYU on this line. Do they win in Lubbock? No, but they cover. Colorado at West Virginia. Stinker. What a horrible game. 6.5 point favorite is West Virginia. Colorado's bad, man. They just got whooped up on by Arizona. I don't know what to make of it. Is Deion on the hot seat, or is Deion such a big name and he's brought them to national prominence in the media, not play wise, in the media? He had a Heisman. Travis Hunter won the Heisman last year, so sure. He's maybe got a little bit shorter leash. I don't think his seat is getting hot yet. Colorado sucks. West Virginia sucks. I think Nico Markiel goes for 3 touchdowns in this game. I think that is I just like that a lot. I think West Virginia is going to win this game. Give me West Virginia on that line. Over under 53.5. Under. That's going to be an ugly game. Iowa State taking on TCU in Fort Worth. Iowa State's a 7.5-point dog against TCU. Josh Hoover's good, man. I get it. TCU's fun. I'm not fully out on Iowa State, though. It's weird. I probably should be. I like them on this line, 7.5. It's a good line. I think Iowa State goes in there and shocks a lot of people down in Fort Worth. So this is going to be my hot take. Give me Iowa State money line plus 230. I'm not going to touch the over under. It's 57.5. I might go over. I think both quarterbacks are really good. I think both quarterbacks can put up a lot of points. So give me the over 57.5. Iowa State money line plus 230. Kansas taking on Arizona. Kansas right now, I believe they opened up as a 2.5 or 3.5 point dog. It's bet down to 5.5. Kansas is a 5.5 point dog. Give me the Dan Courtwright special. Kansas wins. Kansas covers. Now, the important part about that is Kansas wins. Money line plus 170. Love that money line for KU. Over under 57.5. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. I'm not going to say the word boring, but I think it's going to be a lot of run and gun. Hopefully the Kansas secondary can stop those big yardage plays. And if they do, this under is going to hit. So I love that. That's some college football game picks for you. Hey, after this, ding, 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 ding. It's the sports stock market. Coming up after this on Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com. Welcome back into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Daniel Courtwright here. Big shout out to Crown Automotive and Miles Schnare, the best car dealership in town. Get your Toyotas or Volkswagens, used cars as well at Crown Automotive. Also, shout out to Game Day Men's Health, new sponsor alert. Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence, a plush man cave like setting. Take care of all of your medical needs, anything you need to make you feel, great again. Great people over there. Shout out to Mitch Bales and company for Game Day Men's Health. Let's get it started. Sports stock market. Ding, 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 ding. I want to start here. Stocks down on ethical dilemmas. Maybe up on ethical dilemmas. Tom Brady, former Patriots quarterback, stocks down on ethical dilemmas. Tom Brady, former Patriots quarterback, former Buccaneers quarterback, cloned his dog. This is one of the wild. When I saw this, I thought it was an Onion article, honestly. So apparently, earlier this year, a company named Colossal Biosciences brought the direwolf back from extinction. And Tom Brady was all over Instagram being like, wow, look at this. This is awesome. This is crazy. And people are like, why is Tom Brady celebrating this direwolf coming back from extinction? It's because Tom Brady's an investor in this company. By the way, Colossal Biosciences, they're looking at getting the woolly mammoth back as his next de-extinction project. But Tom Brady, earlier this week, an article in People magazine revealed that he used Colossal Biosciences for a little bit of personal reasons. He cloned his dead dog. Tom Brady said, I love my animals. They mean the world to me and my family. A few years ago, I worked with Colossal and leveraged their non-invasive cloning technology through a simple blood draw of our family's elderly dog before she passed. So, Tom Brady's old dog named Lua apparently passed away in 2023. He took blood before Lua passed away, gave it to Colossal Biosciences. They cloned his dog. His dog's new name is now Junie. It is a 1-for-1 replacement for Lua. Here's the thing. Has science come too far? Isn't there a big ethical dilemma? Now, I get it. It's a dog, right? They've cloned sheep before in the past. Where's the end? What's their main? They're going to bring the woolly mammoth back, and are they just going to be like, great, we're done as a company? No. I've seen this movie before. I know what's going to happen. I've seen enough science fiction movies to understand they're not going to stop there, partner. They're going to start cloning humans, which there becomes an ethical dilemma, right? That's one of the biggest ethical dilemmas is cloning humans, because there's a couple different reasons. Number one, you could, potentially clone humans for like organ harvesting, right? Also, it's like, well, who are they? Like, what's their identity? Are they the same person that they cloned, or are they a completely new person, right? Also, like, how does that, like, dealing with trauma and acceptance of a loss of a life, or instead you can just clone your grandma who just recently passed or whatever, right? There's so many ethical dilemmas that that come about from this is so weird, and this is the most like rich guy insane person thing I've ever heard of in my life. I do not like this one bit. This is absolutely insane. Has he ever seen the Stephen King movie Pet Sematary? I've seen it. It's not good. The cat comes back with a different personality. If it's a truly one of one replication of his old dog Lua, is the personality the same? If the dog had the ability to, speak English and know what had happened, like for instance, a human, and get explained to what has happened to it, like what does that mean? I don't know. This is bad. You shouldn't. I will go ahead and say this. I will never clone my dog because I don't have the money. Also, because I think it's just weird. Like that's insane. Like, that there are hundreds of thousands of humane societies out there with dogs that don't have homes, but instead you're like, no, I'm going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just cloning my old dog. That's insane. That's insane of you. How about you go adopt a dog? Tom Brady. I understand you have all the money in the world and you can do this and you're an investor in the company and you think it's cool. You're turning into like a weird, like salamander-eyed tech bro. And I don't like it. I don't like it, Tom. I didn't like you before. I respect you for what you did on the football field. I don't like it. Don't. If any of you are out there thinking about cloning your dog, I would say don't. I think we need to nip this in the bud because I've seen this movie before. It's too much, man. It's too much. Stocks up on going back on your word. So John Rothstein, he's all these Rothsteinisms. I don't know. I'm on the fence about John Rothstein. I think he's fun. I think he used to be fun, and he still is fun, but he's turned into a little bit of a clickbait artist. But he used to have all these Rothsteinisms, right? Like VCU better than a 10-day trip to Europe or something like that. Like there was some. He had a bunch of other ones, and he had one about West Virginia too, where the Rothsteinism was West Virginia basketball tougher than a long weekend at your in-laws. John Rothstein came out 2024, whenever Bob Huggins was let go, fired. He said, "Dear Morgantown, the West Virginia basketball tougher than a long weekend at your in-laws tagline was made to reflect Bob Huggins and Press Virginia." We all remember the Press Virginia days. That era is now over. Taglines cannot and will not, all caps, ever be forced. It is TBD if a new one will arise. Sincerely, JR. That was November 8th, 2024. On November 4th of 2025, not even a full year after this public service announcement to Morgantown, West Virginia, John Rothstein tweeted out, "West Virginia basketball, tougher than a long weekend at your in-laws." You just said you're never going to use it, and they cannot and will not ever be forced. And the era of Press Virginia is over. And you're bringing it out for the first game of the regular season for West Virginia this year? Are you kidding me? You're insane. That's why I think that he's turned into a clickbait artist, because he knows, look, the Rothsteinisms were fun. He knows it's what the people want. If you make a public service announcement saying that you will never use it again, and then you wait 361 days to use it again, what are you doing? You made that whole announcement. No, it can't be. No, it'll be TBD if a new one arises. Well, guess what, John? Think of a new one. You said it, man. You said there's not going to be a new one. They're not going to use the same old one. We'll think of a new one. He didn't think of a new one. And it's very, very disheartening to see a man like John Rothstein go back on his word. Very unfortunate. Hey, stocks up on walk-ons. This is fun. Brandon Dwyer, you may know him from TikTok, as he is a very famous TikTok person, has millions of followers on all across social media podcasts. He is a walk-on for Florida Gulf Coast University, Dunk City. He's on the end of the bench. He never gets in, and he's been on TikTok. I actually think this is fun. He's been on TikTok doing his road to 1 point. All he wanted to do was score 1 point in a college basketball game for Florida Gulf Coast, and he did it. He went 4 years without scoring a single point in a game. And finally, Florida Gulf Coast was taking on New College of Florida, which, by the way, that's their actual name. And they became a college in 1960. I actually looked this up. They became a college in 1960, and their name is still New College of Florida. Maybe look into that. He got in, hit a three-pointer, wound up hitting, I believe, 3 more free throws. So he wound up with 6 points. So shout out to Brandon Dwyer for getting in the game, getting meaningful playing time, just like I did. September 12th, 2019, against Northeastern State. Season opener for Emporia State University. I played in 3 snaps, 2 of them victory formation. Shout out to Brandon Dwyer. That's always fun. I always love those. Hey, stocks up on alcohol sales. A report came out for alcohol sales, units sold per football game, and then total revenue per football game. University of Madison, Wisconsin. You are number 1 in the nation in alcohol sales. That's right. They have sold 255,122 units for a total of $3,088,690. The next one, not even close. Not even the same ballpark. They're over $1 million more. University of Nebraska. They've sold 168,293 units sold for $2,074,806.25. Shout out to the University of Wisconsin. Kansas, nowhere on there to be found. One of the shocking ones that I found on here, because a lot of them are Big Ten schools, as you may notice. And Wisconsin, if you've ever seen any any maps that show, like, bars per capita and like alcohol consumption, and if it's like light blue if you don't drink a lot, and then dark blue if you do drink a lot. The whole state of Wisconsin's Navy, pretty much, right? They drink a lot up there in Wisconsin. They blew everyone out of the water. The weird one to me was UMass. UMass was on here. Now, granted, actually, I'm reading this wrong, because I don't know why UMass is on here. Kansas, I'm sure, should be on here somewhere. I think this is just tracked, right? So UMass, actually, they only had 2,378 units sold total through August and September. That's not good. You need to step it up. But yeah, it goes Wisconsin, Nebraska, Tennessee, LSU, Minnesota, Michigan, Indiana, West Virginia. Shout out to the Big 12. West Virginia, 98,000 sold, $979,000 sold. So shout out to Wisconsin, man. Which, granted, I mean, if I had to watch Jeff Grimes' offense, I'd be drinking too. That was mean. I shouldn't have said that. That was mean. Hey, stocks down on Boise State. They lost. They're 1-0 or 0-1 right now. Boise State, they played against Hawaii Pacific, a Division II school out in Hawaii. Wound up losing 79-78. Quad 5 loss. This is for Evan Mayakawa. He said, thankfully, the committee only has room for the first 4 quads on the team sheet. So I don't know if this one counts then. Man, shout out to you guys. They lost to Hawaii Pacific, like I said, Division II. They're a university in a former strip mall, and they play their home games at a former Franciscan adult daycare facility. And they went to Boise, and they beat Boise State. Shout out to Cam Martin. He's not there anymore, I don't think. How do you let this happen? We've heard a few times, about this, but bringing in Hawaii Pacific and beating you on your home court, a Division II school who plays their basketball games in a former adult daycare center, and their entire university is in an old strip mall. It's tough. It's tough. Look up pictures I don't have any pictures. I should have had some on here. Hawaii Pacific, look up their campus. It is incredibly hilarious. It's like very abundantly clear that you're like, oh, that used to be an Old Navy. Oh, look at that. The Sephora. Was that Dave and Buster's? No, the strip mall is not nice enough to have Dave and Buster's. Anyway, that's my case, or excuse me, not case the Monday sports stock market segment for today. Hey, after this, NFL game picks on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com. Welcome back into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Daniel Courtwright here, going to wrap up the show. We were trying to get Tyshawn on, but like I said, he's dealing with some personal issues. So hopefully we'll get Tyshawn Taylor on for next week, talk a little Kansas basketball, kind of go through some of his stuff in his NBA career and his college career. But a big-time weekend coming up for Kansas. They're taking on North Carolina tonight at 6:30. Huge game. They're a big squad over there in North Carolina. A lot of tall guys. Old friend alert Henry Vasar, as well as Caleb Wilson, freshman. One of the many talented freshmen in this freshman class. Potentially one of the best freshman classes, I think, in recent history, maybe of all time, at least in the last 25, 30 years, right? So this freshman class is absolutely fantastic, filled to the brim with talent. You're going to see that out of Caleb Wilson. So be sure to stay tuned in tonight for that. You can hear coverage on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Also, Kansas football taking on Arizona tomorrow down in Tucson. Both teams looking for bowl eligibility. KU soccer playing in the Big 12 championship tomorrow as well. I believe that's going to be kicking off at 7 o'clock against BYU. Cheer on your Jayhawks. And on Sunday, KU women's basketball taking on Northwestern State. Be sure to get out to that game at Allen Fieldhouse. It's going to be a lot of fun. This team is going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially with Jalea Davis and a lot of those other freshmen, Libby Fandel and Keely Parks. I mean, this squad is stacked. So I think Kansas women's basketball is primed to have a big season. Gonna do some NFL game picks though while we're here. I'm going to start off with the appetizer overseas. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Colts just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is Aaron Rodgers still good? No, but are the Colts still good? I don't know. They've been on fraud watch forever for me, and I think that Daniel Jones is a pumpkin that's rotting fast. Michael Penix is going to be back for this game. I know Drake London, was questionable last week. I believe he's going to be good to go. I like the over in this game. 48.5. Now it's going to be early. I understand that. The London games usually always hit those unders. I like the over. Don't come at me. I like the over in this game. Give me the Falcons to cover the spread. It's at 6.5 right now. The public likes it too. It's at -112 plus 6.5. Falcons cover. It's going to be a fun game. Colts may win by a field goal. Even though I think the Colts are frauds, I don't think the Falcons are very good. Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins in Miami, -9.5. Dolphins are a home dog. I usually love home dogs with big lines like this. Mike McDaniel is going to be fighting for his job. Give me the Dolphins in this game to cover. I think that they're going to be pulling out all of the crazy tricks. Miami's not a good team. They're not. But Mike McDaniels knows that he's fighting for his job. So give me the Dolphins in this one. Plus 9.5. I like it a lot. I like the under in this game, though. 50.5 feels a little too high for me. I think defense is going to really step it up for this Dolphins squad. Buffalo Bills still win, though. But it's going to be close, and it's going to give Mike McDaniels a little bit longer of a leash. Baltimore Ravens, they're going to Minnesota. They're a 3.5-point favorite. Lamar Jackson, he's not the same. What's going on with Baltimore Ravens? I have no idea. The Minnesota Vikings, though. Carson Wentz. Or no, I believe it's J.J. McCarthy. I need to double check this. It is J.J. So it'll be J.J. against Lamar. I need to think about this game. My gut is just telling me that the Ravens are going to go in there and win by a touchdown. I know they're a 3.5-point favorite. I know it's in Minneapolis. I like home dogs usually. I like the Ravens in this game at -3.5. Public likes them as well. New England Patriots taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tom Brady Bowl. Patriots, 2.5-point dogs going down to Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay on this line, man. I'm still look Baker Mayfield. He stunk it up the last couple of weeks. I think Baker Mayfield's still really good. I have a gut feeling that Baker Mayfield's going to go for like 4 touchdowns in this game. I don't know why. Christian Gonzalez is a really good corner for the Patriots. Give me the Buccaneers on this line, -2.5. Feels way too easy. Saints, Panthers, horrible, terrible game. They should air this on True TV or something. What a horrible game. Even though the Panthers, by the way, talking trash, Panthers have the same record as the Chiefs right now. Now, purely based on looking at numbers, you go, whoa, that's crazy. Who's the better team? It's very clear it's the Chiefs. I think the Panthers are still a very bad team. I like the Panthers in this game, though. It's in Raleigh. They're 5.5-point favorite. And what is my motto? Always fade the Saints. Always fade the Saints. So give me the Panthers here. The Panthers improved to 6-4, and hopefully the Chiefs can do the same next week at least. New York Football Giants taking on the Chicago Bears. 2 teams who are kind of weird, right? Jackson Dart's good. Cam Scatterby, by the way, horrific injury. Dislocated his ankle, though. I think that's a good thing because he didn't like snap his leg in half. It looked like he snapped his leg in half. Only a dislocated ankle, so he presumably will be fine. Oh, sometimes that could be worse than just actually breaking it. I like the Giants in this game, man. They're going to Chicago. Caleb Williams is continuing to get a little better, but he's not what we all thought that he was going to be. I like the Giants to win this game straight up, +180. Love the Giants on the money line here. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Houston Texans. Another horrible game. Jags are a 1.5-point favorite at Houston. I love the Jags in this line. Sean's not here to tell me I'm stupid. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I'll give it to him. Trevor Lawrence is still a good quarterback. I still believe in him. The Jags beat the Chiefs this year because of Trevor Lawrence. I like the Jags. I like the Jags to win this one for sure. Do I take the point? I think I do take the point. So give me money line -115 for the Jags. Cleveland Browns taking on the New York Jets. My goodness, what are these games this week? Horrible. Give me the Cleveland Browns. It's in New York. The Jets are just clearing house, by the way. They got rid of Sauce Gardner. They got rid of Quinn Williams. They're bad. Yeah, give me the Browns. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to have a heyday with this, which is crazy for me to say because I don't think I've ever said Dylan Gabriel is going to have a heyday since he was in college. And I don't think I ever will again in his NFL career. But he will against the really bad New York Jets. They're tanking. I think they're just like, all right, we're done. We're just going to try to get a bunch of draft capital. And they did. 2027, what do they have? 3 first-round draft picks? I mean, they're building for the future. They know the season is over. They know next season's probably going to be over too. Gear up for the 2030s. That's all you can do at this point for the Jets. Give me the Browns in this one. Browns win this one very easily. Cardinals at the Seahawks. Seahawks look good, man. Kyler Murray. I don't know what's going on with him. I think he's injured. Seahawks are 6.5-point favorite. Love the Seahawks on this line. So I'm actually -120, so the public loves it too. I should probably get on that early because it might go to 7.5. Detroit Lions taking on the Washington Football Team Commanders. Detroit Lions are 8.5-point favorite over the Commanders. I mean, Marcus Mariota is still playing for the Commanders. I like Jared Goff. I think the Lions are back in it, man. Lions, I still think, can make a run for the NFC Championship. Give me the Lions on this one. 8.5, such a big line. Public loves it. I love it too. Rams taking on the 49ers. Battle in the NFC West. Rams are a 4.5-point favorite at the 49ers. Give me 49ers money line. I think this is going to be a weird game. I think Mac Jones wins this one for him. I think +185. I kind of like that value there. It's in San Francisco. Again, these interdivision games can get kind of weird. Give me the 49ers. I think the 49ers pull it out, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the LA Chargers in LA. Steelers are a 3.5-point dog heading into LA. I like Chargers in this game. Justin Herbert's looking good, man. I mean, the Steelers are coming off a good win, though. Right. And I don't know if it was a good win or necessarily a bad loss by the Colts, because like I said, Daniel Jones is a rotting pumpkin and the Steelers just beat the Colts. So it's gonna be a little tougher to kind of decipher that and figure that one out. I think the Chargers are gonna win this one. I think they're gonna win it handily, probably by a touchdown. And that's Sunday Night Football. So that is my NFL game picks. Like I said, be sure to stay tuned to kansasnation.com all throughout this weekend. Check us out on Twitter. I'm going to be live tweeting the KU UNC game tonight. Going to be live tweeting the KU Arizona game tomorrow night. Going to be, all over KU soccer. Cheer on those Lady Jayhawks because they're on the precipice of making history, right? 2 Big 12 championships in a row right there at their grasp. All they got to do is take over and beat BYU, who they already beat 3-1 at their place earlier this year. So really exciting weekend for all things Kansas athletics. That's going to do it here for Rock Shock Sports on Kansas Nation. I will talk to you guys on Monday. Big shout out to Elijah Schmidt for running the operations, and hopefully Sean Kellerman has a good flight back from Chapel Hill. Hopefully the Jayhawks have a good flight back from Chapel Hill too, being victorious. For Elijah Schmidt, Sean Kellerman, I guess, as well, I'm Daniel Courtwright saying thanks for listening to Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com.